Okay, hey everybody. Um, I'm just going to make a quick video talking kind of like as an update for myself and for my future self to be able to look back on this video like I'm kind of doing with all of these videos and just kind of be like, wow, look how far I've come. And so I can like show myself that I'm doing it, that I'm doing something in this moment like to better myself and for growth, and hopefully like maybe somebody else who is right now or is in a month or tomorrow or whatever, where I was like 5, 6, 10 years ago, they're like, damn, if she can do it, I can too, and maybe they can like get something out of it. So just to like kind of like a touch base sort of thing, I just wanted to say that I've been using like the law of attraction for a while now, but like really kind of like stepping into it as almost like a religious, a spiritual practice with myself. And I've kind of used it as like, the Church of Jami, like going to getting in touch with myself and like getting to know myself through like deliberate intentional practice, and the law of attraction has really helped me kind of get to know myself, which is a hard journey when you're starting from like total scratch, including a place of like self-loathing. So it's really kind of helped me like focus on the present, which is why I'm doing this right now. Like, what else could I be doing with my time that would be better than make a video like right this very second, you know? So that's what I'm doing. And like just being deliberate, it's like, people that don't understand law of attraction, like I'm going to use Joe Rogan again. Like I heard him kind of talking to someone who was like really into all that esoteric stuff, and people who are like successful maybe don't get it. But if you have a hard time, like as I did, just living and learning how to like take control over your life, I need a way to manage my mind and help managing my mind and my thoughts and being like, okay, this doesn't have to be as complicated as it's been made out to be, and as I've interpreted it. Like life doesn't have to be any more complicated than just live in the present, have gratitude, do what you want, and like your soul will always tell you. And that's the beautiful thing. I just didn't listen to my soul, and I kept like, I overanalyzed absolutely everything. And, there was always a reason why not to do something. And it's like everybody had their 2 cents about why, that was a bad idea or that wasn't, the way to go. And it wasn't until, my God, like my mid 30s that I really started just doing what I wanted to and just being like, okay, this feels right. I don't think my heart, my soul is going to guide me wrong. Like everything else in life will and has, even if it's like the best of intentions, and that's best case scenario, they're going to guide me wrong. But your soul's not going to be like, oops, my bad. And you can feel when something calls to your soul. And I've always been into like, all that woo woo shit. To put it eloquently, I've always been into like weird things and the more like esoteric side. But coming from a Catholic family and just a conservative area, I was like taught that was bad. And so I thought, well, God, I'm not cool enough for that. First of all, like I thought you had to be more like learned or cooler, like from a city, and like be all these things that I wasn't. But also on top of that, I was told like, oh, that's not good. You're not into that, are you? That's weird. And so that was just one thing that like I pushed down, and it's like, man, that's your soul's calling, and I like turned away from my soul every chance I could get because it went against the grain of what other people thought I should be doing. And like I said, even if it was the best of intentions, like from my family, it's still, if it's going against what your heart and soul tells you, then it's not the right thing. And so I've just really been trying to seize the moment and understand that that's all you can do, is just try to be happy and live life and come from this place of gratitude and authenticity and self-love. And once I have the self-love, then I can kind of start to really build like a friendship with myself and have this rapport, and I can like practice discernment, and it just all gets better and better. Oh God, my dog just came in. She has like a cone on her head because she's eating her paws. She has like allergies. And I can do things like get a dog. When I first when we first got the dog, she was like a pandemic puppy. We have been talking about wanting to get a pit bull for a while, but we finally ended up getting one during the pandemic. And my God, I'm in my mid to late 30s, and I was like nervous to tell my mom that I'd gotten a dog, just because, she was like, well, it's going to eat your furniture, and what are you going to do? And dogs are expensive. And, those little comments, even with, let's say, the very best of intentions, and, let's face it, most people don't even have that much. It's usually like a selfish reason, or like their own ego or their own projections or whatever. But even with the best of intentions, it's like there's always like, people just try to constantly like shit on you for a living. And I think my hunch is that it's because we have been taught to deny ourselves, and we have been taught that life is supposed to be like hard and painful and scrape by, and just a constant competition that's based on like consumerism and capitalism and just all these things that pit us against each other and tell us that we are not worthy. And that's bullshit. That can't be like the furthest thing from the truth. And it's like, if you think about it, like every single piece of like marketing, whether it's like, a pair of socks or like a concept or a state of being or whatever, like it all goes back to the core of like, oh, you need this to be complete or to be better or to be like something more acceptable. It just kind of reiterates to us that we are not enough. So I'm trying to use law of attraction moment by moment and just live from that place of focusing on my energy and my heart's desire and my soul and what I want to do, and just say yes to myself and get to know myself and love myself, and forgive myself for the past, and just forgive everything that's not in this moment. And also it's helped me with keeping in mind, like, besides drowning out the noise and getting over like, my past state of, sad state of affairs that lasted for like decades, it helps me get out of my anxiety to a degree, because a lot of my anxiety is like projections about the future and future fears too. And so it kind of helps me stay more grounded in the moment. And something else that's strange, I've kind of had to like reshape my thinking, is that in the past, when I was in active addiction, I was like a prisoner to the present, which is what addiction does to you. I mean, it makes you're in the present, but you're like a prisoner to the present. You really are, because you're not, it's like you're a prisoner in reality. It's like an ironic twist of fate. And then in a last-ditch effort to escape yourself and to escape reality and to alter your consciousness, you have done this extreme thing to excess and become a drug addict. And therefore, it's like you have this parasite of addiction on your soul that has infiltrated your mind and your heart and your entire state of being. And you are possessed by this, by this like ghost of a concept, which is escapism. And it like traps you because you're not you. It's like you have that parasite on top of you that's thinking for you. So it's like you're just at its like whims, and you're just living to feed your addiction. And so now that, I've put out all of like the disasters and fires and everything from my addiction, I can really just focus on, okay, now what? I'm building a foundation on just on the present moment and saying yes to myself. And um, when it comes to like negative talk, like something else, a side note that I've noticed that's really helped me is to kind of say, so what? And it's like a take on just say no. It's like, just say so, like, so what? It's like, all this horrible thing happened, and mom didn't listen to me, which is true, and it's like, well, so what? Just let it go. And I know that's easier said than done, but when I really just try to focus on the present, that means like putting the past aside, focusing on my energy, my breathing, meditating, writing, like little moments of gratitude and appreciation, it's a lot easier to do. Um, and it's like with addiction, I think the reason that all people use, like, yeah, to escape, but I think at the core of like what an addict is, even before they do drugs, like the mind of someone who um, is a drug addict and has that real potential for drug addiction. I think it's people who are very sensitive, but have an inability to deal with pain, like have just very poor pain management. And sometimes I know that's like because the pain was like a grave injustice from childhood, or even it's all relative, like no matter what your pain is, even if it was just being having your voice suppressed and told, like, that you're wrong for being yourself, which was how I felt growing up. And I know that wasn't my family's intentions, but nevertheless, that was the case. Um, that I wasn't like their perfect daughter molded in their image. And that was hard to deal with, but it wasn't like the issue itself that made it so unmanageable. It was that I have an inability or extreme difficulty with pain management. And, it's easy to conflate like what happened in the past that was so painful with your reaction to it and how you process that pain or don't process it in my case. But, um, you have to process it, and whatever we don't process, it's like we just continually bring into our life. And because I couldn't process like all this pain, and I was just like a walking wound in my soul, and I created all this pain in my life. That was additional trauma that I also could not process. So it's like, if you can't process something from life, and life is half painful and the rest of it is absolute wonder and whimsy and true beauty, and there has to be that balance. All evil is necessary. I mean, it's a necessary evil, so that we can have gratitude and we can have that contrast. It has to be there. But if you can't focus on a major thing or pain in life, or if you can't, the pain of existing, the pain of the everyday Tuesday, if you can't focus on the pain of life and or process it, then you can't live life. And so you have to, I've found like I really just have to accept myself where I am right the fuck now in this moment, and let the rest kind of fall by the wayside to the best of my ability. And it's just like the serenity prayer. And I said this in a video a while back, like an old video. The serenity prayer is a beautiful like guide stone to life, because it's like, accept what you can, accept what you cannot, change what you can, accept what you cannot, wisdom, discernment, know the difference. Obviously that's paraphrasing, but I mean, that's it, change what you can and accept what you can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. And if you can't, then don't worry about it. And focusing on myself, getting my head right, controlling myself, that's all we can control anyway. Best case scenario is ourselves. And for me, that's a full-time job. Absolutely. That's hard enough. So I don't need to control everyone else. And I really have to be conscious of the content I consume and the energy I put into things. Because I heard a quote the other day: what is on our mind controls our soul, I think was what it said. And that's true, and there's a lot of like conspiratorial things about like, oh, celebrities selling their soul. And it's like, I used to be one of these people too. It's like, oh, they sold their soul, and maybe some of them did, but whatever. I gave mine away for fucking free. I actually paid to give my soul away, because addiction, for the duration that you're in active drug addiction, you've given your soul to your drug of choice, or to just the lifestyle of addiction. I was a chaos addict. I gave, we give our soul to whatever is on our mind. That's taking our energy in the moment. And this moment is literally everything. It's the only thing. It's everything is this moment. So whatever is on our mind, whatever we are consuming, whatever we are giving our energy to, it has our soul, So I'm like, man, I best just choose right and focus on that. And, directing our energy, controlling myself, like centering myself, and knowing what to do with my assets, like my big heart, and like my, perceptive mind, and my past, that I have kind of accrued some wisdom, knowing what to do with my assets, and how to direct my energy. Like, that's where law of attraction really has been super helpful for me. And like I said, like, I really recommend writing and just journaling. And this is the last thing I'm going to probably say for this video, but I really recommend getting in a meditation practice, like a morning meditation, and just journaling. It's like, my God, if there is ever, if you're like me and you were like ruminating on shit from third grade, or like my middle school bully, or whatever, like stupid shit your ex did to you wrong, or whatever, it's a way to get it out. And it's like, you have this piece of paper, and you are like, it's the universe, and you are like the creator, the God of this universe that is the blank page, and it can be whatever you want it to be. And if you just write for yourself and just get out of your own way, and just whatever comes out, just let it can be the most one of the most spiritual things. And it's such so therapeutic to get it out of your head, and just as a way of like truly like purging these emotional and spiritual toxins from the past, and just kind of getting it out. And you can feel that release. And for someone like me, who has like a jumble of nerves and experiences, like, having that outlet has been just amazing. And as I said before, I didn't know what to do. I thought PTSD was just going to be something that, I was just going to live with for longer. But really, to cure my PTSD, it wasn't serious drugs, which they wanted to prescribe me. Like, as a drug addict, I had to turn down like hardcore benzos, but because the trauma was severe, and I had a lot of trauma to deal with. Talk therapy wasn't helping, and time, it was slowly like making it a little bit more tolerable. But was it healing all wounds? I don't think so. But writing it out in detail, it like lifted this gunk and like cleaned out the pipes. It was like an oil change for your soul, if you can just get it out. And for me, writing has been huge. But I think like moving your body is a way to release, get some stuff out. There's like all kinds of different ways. But that's one of the ways I really recommend. But anyway, I'm just going to say, oh, and by the way, I found this at the dollar store, and this is like a small example of gratitude. Burt's Bees, it was on clearance, and it's charcoal whitening. It's fluoride free. That's another small way I've been like an oddly spiritual thing has been with toothpaste. Like it was such a big deal for me to finally love myself and value myself enough to make the conscious decision to get the toothpaste that I've always wanted to try, which was fluoride free. And I've always wanted to try black toothpaste, which I didn't even know was a thing until like 6 months ago. And sure enough, fluoride free charcoal. And I like Tom's better personally, but just little things like that. It just a few dollars, or it's really not even about the cost of toothpaste or the extra dollar it might spend cost or whatever. It's like, man, there's black toothpaste that is fluoride free. That's a fucking awesome toothpaste alternative. Toothpaste like upper ear piercings, getting my tongue pierced, getting a dog, like deliberate you know actions, and just gratitude for every small thing in every small moment where I've said like yes to myself and yes to this life. Because if you don't say yes to yourself, nobody else has the even ability to say it for you. We have to like live lives for ourselves, live our own lives, or else nobody else is going to do it. And if they are, it's going to be for their own selfish reasons, and they're going to screw it up every time. So we have to like take charge of our lives. But I just want to give that toothpaste update, and maybe share where I'm at with law of attraction, because I'm telling you, like, man, if I can go from homeless to and in just the pits of melancholy, like street prostitution. I was a melancholy prostitute with a bachelor's degree. I mean, if I can go from where I was to where I am, and then the next step in my life of being like, wow, I have a garage, an in-ground pool, or a hot tub, like owning a small piece of land, having a garden, like that next step, like of real home ownership. It's just going to be like amazing, because that's what life is. So I'm here to document that and hopefully help somebody else along the way. But y'all have a good night.